Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. Let's have a look at Scorn of Antenolla, and I'll be beating it with a 5-man team. First up is my cover-all physical tank, Mercenary Ramza. I gave him a lot of elemental resistance. Next up is Veritas of the Flame. He will be my primary damage dealer. I'm giving him a fixed dice and then a bunch of true double hand stuff. Next is Noctis. He will be my primarily buffer, but he's in there for some magic damage and some MP recovery and just everything that he does. Next is 2B. She is my breaker. I gave her a fire weapon so that she can do fire damage and then, disable that certain attack. And then lots of LB fill stuff. And then my healer is Ayaka. Alright, let's move over to the fight. Okay. So Antenolla, this boss is in 4 parts. There's like roots and leaves and stems, and then the flower itself. And then all of them have like a different weakness to a different element. And then Veritas of the Flame, he has self-imbue for 3 of those elements. So I thought he would be cool to use as my solo damage dealer here. But actually, all of the parts, they have like weaknesses to a certain element. But they also have one other element where they have neither resistance nor weakness. So really, there's 2 elements that you can use on each part. And then that will come in handy with a Flame Veritas. But the boss starts out with physical immunity. Only magic attacks will do damage. So the first 4 turns, basically, I'm just going to set up my defenses. So Mercenary Ramza will cover all. 2B will use her, Supreme Support Weapon to break everyone. Ayaka will cast Re-Raise or Stop Detach. Veritas of the Flame, he has a damage mitigation skill, so we'll use that. And then with Noctis, we used a Fire Element ability in order to lock that skill. We can also use wind or earth attacks to lock other skills, but locking the fire, which is a sneeze, is the most important, because if I lose a character, that will really endanger my Claire. And so 2B, she will use her Supreme Support Weapon, and then that will unlock a True Charge Blade, and then she can use that to hit everybody. It doesn't matter if it does damage or not. Or it doesn't even matter if she gets limit break crystals. It fills up her limit break gauge just by itself. And then since she's dual wielding, she can get extra stuff there. So I can use her limit break next turn. And then Noctis, he can use Link, and then that will also fill his limit break gauge. He's also dual wielding, so he can fill that up pretty quick. And of course I could have switched out Noctis and put in Zargabath, just as my support character. But I've been using Zargabath so much that I wanted to mix it up a bit, so I put Noctis in there as well. He has an AoE buff, stat buff on everybody in his limit break, but he also has it in Link, so I can use either one of those to buff everybody. And again, he also has fire attacks, which I can use to, seal that sneeze skill. And then with Veritas of the Flame, basically we're just waiting until turn 5, when we can start using physical attacks. And then leading up to that, we can use his cooldown skill, Anger Blaze, that will raise his attack. Or we can imbue him with one of the elements that we need. Alright, but let's skip ahead here. Let's go ahead to turn 5. Okay, so the light comes out, and then starting here, physical attacks will do damage. We saw that with Ramza's counterattacks. And then Veritas of the Flame, he has both his cooldown skill and his limit break up. I think I'm going to use his limit break since that hits everybody. It does fire element damage, and then there's one part of Antenolla that's weak to fire, and then there's one part that's neutral to fire, so it will do good damage on both of those guys. And then it should do no damage to the boss, because it has that 100% resistance. And that's good, because we want to take down the flower part last. Okay, but we'll break everybody with 2B's Limit Break. And then we'll buff everybody with Noctis's Limit Break. Okay, nice damage there. Alright, so the two parts of Antenolla that don't have the fire resistance, they're now down to about 40% life, so that's a good head start. There is Charm and Stop in this fight, which is going to slow me down a little bit. One of my top priorities is to make sure that Veritas of the Flame is up and acting every turn. Because, you only get those 4 turns at a time before the boss switches back and forth. Okay, so we have the cooldown skill. We'll use that on the one that is weak to fire and then take down that, so that's nice. Okay, so next let's go after D. I guess those are the roots. And then that is weak to dark, I believe. And Noctis and 2B are charmed. I can get rid of that with either casting Dispelga on my guys, or I can use Ayaka's Limit Break. That will remove Stop. So let's cast Curaja and then Dispelga, and then I'm going to quickly select one of my own characters so I can get the Dispelga on myself. And then that will wake up my 2 characters. Alright, with Noctis, let's use the fire attack. We'll seal that sneeze. That's decent damage, actually. Alright, and then with Veritas of the Flame, let's use Dark Steel Axe. That will imbue ourselves with the dark damage. Okay, we'll select the roots there. And then because he's using the fixed dice, there will be, different values on every attack. And then both of these 2 attacks, they'll get different values. So yeah, we saw the second one was much more powerful there. And then with 2B, she kind of doesn't have anything to do this turn. She can't use her Limit Break, that's not filled. She can't use the True Charge Blade because we have not used the cooldown skill. And then the cooldown skill is also not charged up, so... we just cast Re-Raise on herself. That turned out to be useful. And yeah, big attack there. Maybe I didn't have a break up. Okay, with Mercenary Ramza, let's raise Ayaka. And we'll break the boss, get a little bit of damage in the root there. That's kind of nice. And then I guess we still have the dark element, so we'll just use the heavy stomp and then take down the roots there. We got a good enough roll there, so that was nice. Alright, and that was just in time. Now the boss has gone back to resisting the physical attacks. So with Ayaka, we can use a Limit Break, raise everybody. And then Mercenary Ramza put up the physical resistance. Alright, so here, let's skip ahead to turn 12, right before we get to the magical resistance coming back, and the physical resistance going away. Okay, turn 12, let's use the Charge Blade with 2B, fill up her Limit Break gauge. With Mercenary Ramza, we'll refresh the physical guard. And then this will be the turn before the physical resistance goes away. So I can take some steps to get ready. With Noctis, we'll use the Limit Break. We'll buff everybody. Ayaka will use Dedication to restore the HP and MP for everybody. And then Veritas of the Flame, he can use the Arrow Axe. It won't do any damage this turn, but it will give him the Wind Imbue. So next turn, when we can do physical damage, he'll be ready with the element already. Okay, turn 13. So let's break everybody again with 2B. I'm just going to use that every chance I get, basically. Alright, let's use Heavy Stomp with Veritas of the Flame. Okay, pretty decent damage. And then that will unlock the Power Stomp, I think, next turn. So hopefully we can do more damage there. Okay, we'll use Link with Noctis. We'll get a little bit of his Limit Break up. And then since Ayaka doesn't have a lot to do this turn, we can just use a Stop Detach. Give ourselves the stop resistance for a few turns. Unfortunately, we did get charmed. But thankfully, Veritas of the Flame was not charmed, so we can attack again this turn with the Power Stomp. Okay, maybe that was a low roll, but yeah, that's the danger of using fixed dice. But yeah, we do get an idea of how we're going to take down the Antenolla C, who is resistant to fire. Which is why we can't use the Limit Break or the cooldown skill on there. But here, let's skip ahead to when we take down the Antenolla C, and when we start to work on the boss's flower. Okay, turn 23. With Veritas of the Flame, let's use a full charge Stomp. That is the attack that comes out as part of a counterattack. So that was perfect timing, and then we were able to take down the Antenolla C there. And then from here we can start working on the flower. The flower is weak to ice by 50%, and that's why I gave Noctis an Ice Sword. I will try to use his Armiger Awakes to get some damage in there. But it turns out that the boss is neutral to Dark, which Fire Veritas can imbue in himself, so I can still get damage into the flower with him. Okay, turn 24. Two of my guys are charmed, but I think I can get away with it for now, so we'll just keep plowing ahead. We'll put up the AoE cover with Ramza again. And with Fire Veritas, we are going to imbue ourselves with Dark. I should have done the double axe, but didn't think of it. And then with Noctis, let's use Link again to fill the Limit Break gauge. He also does have an ability called Cover, which will give HP and MP recovery to everybody. Regen, rather. And that's really nice. That's a nice ability. Okay, Veritas of the Flame goes down, so he can't do damage this turn. But that's okay, because the boss switched over to physical resistance anyway. So I have to wait another 4 turns before I can do damage. So let's skip ahead to that. Okay, turn 29. Brakes are on the boss, so we'll use the True Charge Blade with 2B, fill that Limit Break gauge. Alright, Veritas of the Flame has the Dark Imbue, so let's use the Heavy Stomp. Okay, nice damage there. And then with Mercenary Ramza, let's entrust Noctis. He used his cooldown skill, which allows him to use Armiger Awakes. Let's use that. See what kind of damage we can do. And then we're getting double the hits because he is dual wielding. So not a lot of hits there. That might have been the minimum. But yeah, compared to Fire Veritas, not a lot of damage. Okay, unfortunately, Veritas of the Flame was charmed here. I definitely want to cure that. So let's dual cast the Curaja Dispelga. I could have used her Limit Break to heal that, but I wanted to save it. Especially because Mercenary Ramza can't entrust anytime soon. But we got rid of the charm on Fire Veritas. Unfortunately, he also loses the Imperil, so we'll put the Dark Imbue back on him. Okay, that's decent damage. Hopefully he'll be ready for next turn to do that. And then let's use Armiger Awakes again. Okay, so many more hits this time, that's good. Okay, and then we cross the 70% threshold. Veritas of the Flame got his counterattack in, so now he can use the full charge stomp, which is his strongest attack. That's not his cooldown skill or limit break, so let's use that. Alright, True Charge Blade with 2B again. And again, because she does have the Fire Element Katana, she will seal that Sneeze skill. Alright, let's use Link. We'll also fill Noctis' Limit Break gauge, and then also buff my guys a little bit. And I'm going to put Re-Raise on Veritas of the Flame, just because I really want him to be up next turn. Because, you know, I got to take every chance I get to do the damage. Okay, nice damage there from Veritas of the Flame. Okay, so Veritas of the Flame was charmed, so was Ayaka and 2V, I guess. But it's okay, this is not a critical turn. So let's skip ahead. We'll look at when the physical resistance goes away again. Okay, turn 37. Unfortunately, I did not get the clear within 35 turns, which is kind of the reward that I wanted the most. It gets you Plant Killer Plus. But just going for my first time clear here, so this might be, I don't know, if I only have a single damage dealer and he only does one type of damage, maybe this is pretty close to the best I can do anyway, so whatever. And then 2B did not have a break available to her this turn. So with Noctis I used his Lightning Flask, which has a magic break in it. Just to help me out the next turn. But yeah, just another good example of the versatility of Noctis. And that's something that Zargabath can't do. Zargabath can't break the enemy, so... Alright, so we'll imbue the Dark again. Okay, that's fine. We'll be ready for next turn. Mercenary Ramza doesn't need to entrust anybody, so we'll discard. Antenolla Extract. That is another new attack that the flower gets later on in the fight. That's pretty damaging. Veritas of the Flame did go down, so I'm not going to be able to get damage into him this turn. Ayaka was charmed, so we'll have to do without her for the next couple turns. Okay, let's raise Veritas of the Flame. That's another nice thing about Noctis, and another thing that Zargabath can't do. He does have re-raise, but he doesn't have just a straight raise, so... Alright, and then we'll heal with Ramza. And I did get 7-star Bosch just the other day. I haven't leveled him up, but if I had, you know, I was kind of debating whether to use him or Ramza in here. Ramza turned out to be is going to be the better choice. We saw that his raise came in handy, his heals come in handy, and trust, of course, is one of the biggest selling points of him. He's also got the elemental resistance, so it's easy to gear him as well. Okay, we'll put the imbue back on Veritas of the Flame. We didn't cross the 20% threshold, which is maybe a good thing. Alright, and then let's do the HP MP refresh here. Okay, there's that extract again, which is damaging, but we had the good break from 2B, so not too bad there. Ayaka was charmed again, so we'll just have to do without her. Alright, and then with Veritas of the Flame, let's use the full charge stomp. Again, his most powerful attack that is not his cooldown skill or his limit break. But first, let's buff his attack with Noctis' Link. And let's see what kind of roll we get here. Okay. 10% damage, that's pretty good. Alright, and then we cross the 20% threshold. So... yeah, there's going to be even more attacks here. Yikes. Here, I want to raise Veritas of the Flame, but I was debating who to do it with, Ramza or Noctis or Ayaka. I ended up going for Ramza, just to free up my other guys to do other things. And then I wanted to raise before I used Ayaka's limit break, because that fills the MP as well. If you raise the guy with that limit break, it won't give the MP to that character, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Alright, and then with Noctis, we'll buff everybody again with his limit break. Ooh. More damage there, but everybody's able to survive, so that's great. And then the boss does have a self-buff, so let's use a Dispel on him, get rid of that. We will reapply the break with 2B. And then let's do some damage with Veritas of the Flame. And the Dark Imbue again. Okay. Maybe one bad roll there, so we weren't able to take down the boss. But next turn should be guaranteed almost. And Link again with Noctis. Alright, decent damage there too. Got the boss down to 2%. Okay, everybody survived there too. Okay, so with Veritas of the Flame, let's use his full charge stomp. And that'll do it for the boss. Alright, so that was fun. I got to use some newer 7-stars like 2B and Noctis. Noctis, as always, is very versatile. 2B is a really nice breaker. She's my best breaker right now, I think. And then Veritas of the Flame is one of my more favorite characters. He slowly, you know, kind of... I liked him more and more as time went on. But now I understand that he's very versatile because he has his 4 elements that he can self-imbue. And then, yeah, I'm looking forward to get his Trustmaster, so I can start using him with axes. And then when that happens, I'll do another review of him. But yeah, fun battle and then a fun team. Alrighty, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.